I think all people deserve to be treated equally through love, building relationships, and trying to make a difference. I can treat people equally by letting everyone go to the same school and the same park. Love everyone even if your friends don't love them. I can treat other people equally and share a pencil. This is how I can treat people equally.
Martin Luther King Jr. was one of the most influential figures in the civil rights movement. One of the most memorable topics he spoke about was his dreams that all mankind would be equal and would live in harmony together. In the very last speech he made before his death, he spoke about reaching the promised land where there was no black or white. Although Martin Luther King Jr.'s dreams have not totally come true, we must keep marching toward that promised land MLK spoke about. In the very last speech MLK made before his death, he quoted these words, "And I've seen the promised land." The promised land that MLK was speaking of was that place where all men were equal. It was a world where blacks and whites went to school together and all men had the same rights. This promised land MLK spoke about must have been a beautiful place. He also said, "I may not get there with you, but I want you to know tonight that we as people will get to the promised land." The sad fact in this passage is that after speaking these words, he was assassinated the very next day. It is almost like he knew, as he spoke the words, that he would not live to see this land, but that his children and grandchildren would, and that was worth fighting for. In 2018, NBC interviewed Clara Esther, a college student who witnessed the assassination of Martin Luther King Jr. in 1968 and was forever changed. She stated, "Our king has been taken away," as she stood over the body of the assassinated MLK. "I can only imagine how she felt. I imagine she felt hopeless and wondered if she would ever see this promised land." But then she stated, "But amazingly, and we talk about that dream, his dream is our dream. The dream of MLK is still very much alive even today. We still dream, hope, and strive for equality of all mankind. We still look for that promised land where we all live in unity and happiness together." The words of the great Martin Luther King Jr. still remain true today, and his dreams are still the dreams of all mankind. His dreams of people living together with happiness, harmony, and equality are still the desire of people of this nation and all around the world. Can we reach this promised land MLK spoke about? Can we make the dreams of MLK a reality? The promised land is possible if we have faith, but most of all, love for one another.
Darkness cannot drive out darkness. Only light can do that. Hate cannot drive out hate. Only love can do that. Martin Luther King, Jr. Clara Esther and Martin Luther King both desire to build equality for all humankind. Of the 4 ways Clara Esther states to assist the building of equality, I believe that love has the greatest impact. Loving others can bring people of different colors, genders, religions, and cultures together as one family. To continue to build and live out Martin Luther King's legacy, we need to build parity among others by showing love. Love is powerful enough to drive out darkness, according to Martin Luther King. It has the power to give discriminated individuals and groups equal opportunities to live in freedom. When love is shown, we see others as equals. For example, when we love others and get to know them, we can see how we are more alike than different. As a result, we start to recognize one another as valuable and see that these individuals can contribute to society in a positive way. Through love, everybody, no matter the differences or similarities, can unite as one family instead of a discriminated race. I believe that love is showing others honor, dignity, respect, compassion, and kindness. Everybody deserves to be valued. Love brings a mood of contentment and security. Love also has the capability and power to bring others together. Martin Luther King Jr. once said, "There is something about love that builds up and is creative." One example that love brings others together would be when my family and I share love freely with one another. When we freely show love, my relationship with them is filled with joy, laughter, and happiness. Above all, love draws one another closer together and brings happiness, cheerfulness, and deep fulfillment. Love has the power to change, alter, and vary people in many ways. For example, when people are being loved with equality and parity, they realize how important it is to love others. By showing love, others can see that they need to show love to everybody else as well. Martin Luther King Jr. stated, Love has within it a redemptive power, and there is a power that eventually transforms individuals. Love helps us grow with one another to respect each other and live in equality. In my opinion, I believe that love has the greatest and most influence to build parity and equal opportunities among others. I believe that love is stronger than disasters, homelessness, hunger, loss, and most importantly, love is stronger than hate. To me, love is being together, showing kindness, thinking of others, and treating others equally. Clara Esther knew that Martin Luther King's dream needed to be our dream. I think we can live our dreams together through demonstrating love. As I said, loving others can bring people of different colors, religions, genders, and cultures together. Most importantly, we need to remember what Martin Luther King Jr. stated, that hate cannot drive out hate, only love can do that. Through love, we can have a huge impact to stop discrimination and build equality. Thank you.
It's 50 years later, and we are not making this up. I was 6 years old and a student at Manley Elementary when my mom and dad went to Barack Obama's first inauguration. I stayed with my grandparents. I was working on my assignment for the MLK essay contest, and my Bubba was helping me. He was telling me that before he was born, that my friends Demir or Alexis and I could not have gone to the same school. We could not have eaten at the same restaurants. We could not even have sipped from the same water fountain or used the same bathroom. To this day, I remember looking up and saying, "Bubba, you're making this up." I didn't understand people's reactions when I told them my parents attended the inauguration. I didn't understand why people were so upset that a black man had been elected president. It didn't take me long to stop talking about my family supporting President Obama. It didn't take me long to realize that in order to keep my friends, I needed to keep my mouth shut. When I was a middle schooler at Lincoln Heights, we had members of the Freedom Riders, Joan Browning and Reginald Green, visit our school. I was a member of the student council and got to serve as a host. As I listened to their stories, again I thought, you're making this up. Since I had met the Freedom Riders, my grandparents, who love educational vacations and insist you learn when you travel, thought next summer's trip should be to Alabama, Selma, Montgomery, and Birmingham. We did get to go to the beach in New Orleans for some fun. On the way down, we made a stop at the Tuskegee Air Base and learned about the airmen. Visiting Tuskegee University, I learned about the Tuskegee syphilis experiment. They are making this up, I thought. At Tuskegee University, I stood and looked at the statue, the lifting of the veil, and read the words of Booker T. Washington. It was a contrast to standing in Live Oak Cemetery in downtown Montgomery, reading the headstones decorated with many Confederate flags. I walked with my family from downtown Selma across the Edmund Pettus Bridge and thought what it would be like to go all the way to Montgomery in a hand-in-hand protest because black people didn't have the same voting rights as I would someday have because my skin happens to be white. The facts about this bloody Sunday could not be made up. On the steps of Montgomery State House, I got to meet another one of the Freedom Riders and have my picture made with her. She was there attending a reunion that weekend. She told me about being arrested while protesting. I also visited Dexter Avenue King Memorial Baptist Church, where Dr. King preached. When you read about racism and the fight to overcome it in history books, it doesn't seem as real, even though it is. When you stand in the place of where others have stood, look at the things others have seen, feel what you think others felt, it becomes realer than real and clearer than clear. At West High, when President Trump was elected president in 2016, I listened to students at my school, many of them I would not have labeled racist, telling our Hispanic students, soon you'll get sent back from where you came from, and they chanted, build that wall. These were my friends, the ones saying the nasty things and the ones they were saying it to. Again, I closed my eyes and tried to imagine what it felt like to be treated like this, to be told I wasn't as good, that my skin color, my religion, my ethnicity, or my gender somehow determines how I should be treated, what rights I have, how difficult my life should be, or what opportunities I would be given. No longer could we say it doesn't exist. Racism was no longer hiding in the shadows. I watched as it came out in the open. We now live in a world where suddenly it's tolerated to be racist. Funny that the opposite of racism, is tolerance. I wasn't just reading about it, visiting where it happened, or hearing about it. I was witnessing it. I was seeing it firsthand, and it was not being made up. All of a sudden, I realized I could no longer keep my mouth shut. I don't know if I have as much courage as Dr. King, the Freedom Riders, or even Clara Esther, but I must speak my truth. I must fight for others. One of my favorite family trips was visiting Plains, Georgia, and meeting President Jimmy Carter. A plaque in his museum read, "We become not a melting pot, but a beautiful mosaic. Different people, different beliefs, different yearnings, different hopes, different dreams." Two other Carter plaques read, "I say to you quite frankly that the time for racial discrimination is over, and you can do what you have to do, and sometimes you can do it better than you think you can. I will try, President Carter. I will try." Have we circled back? Yes. Or maybe we never left. We have just hidden it away, and now we are now admitting it, or looking the other way. Racism lives. Hate lives. Some of us are showing our true colors. Others of us must step up to continue that trip to the promised land. You can't make this stuff up.